Yes, I'm a beneficiary to that.
Okay.
And from my own experience, I learn better from my peers than from a teacher. It was like, you know, you have this teacher-pupil relationship. Teachers are very important. Nobody can undermine the importance of a teacher.
Okay.
Teachers are very important for guiding the students. However, if you take an example of, for those of us who go to local dairas, and that's a very good, example of a teaching method. You see what the time that the instructor spends with a child,
yes,
is very small. He gives the child the instruction, and the child goes on his or herself to repeat, to revise
yes,
his work. Sometimes you refer to your colleagues,
yes,
or other people to be able to learn. But coming to your question,
yes,
definitely, for me, throughout my educational career, I tend to learn, because teacher is there standing in front of about 40 or even 20 or so. So going toward, through a pace,
okay,
and that pace may correspond with my pace as a student, or I might be a slow learner. I consider myself as a slow learner. So, but if I go and sit down and reflect, all right, and discuss with my fellow students, because there I don't have that fear. Of course, I'm not saying that, we should fear our teachers. Teachers need to be very friendly and so on. But there is always that teacher-pupil relationship. If I am talking to you as a colleague, Louis, in the same class, yes, I can be free to ask any question.
Exactly.
I will not feel that I may be embarrassed or something like that. Okay. And you can be free to tell me. And I can challenge you. If you give me an answer which I don't believe, I can challenge you. And you can do the same thing to me. So I think group studies is something that I have benefited much from my colleagues. And even from my juniors, because they might know something that I don't know. So it's part of a study skill for one to be eager to find out something from anywhere. And it's always, because for a student or for a learner, anytime you feel that you know it all,
yes,
that's it. You cannot learn. It blocks your own learning. But always feel that you still have something to learn. So you can find out from anybody, from parents, from your brother, from a colleague, and something. So as Omar said, definitely I quite agree with him. I tend to learn better from my colleagues than from a teacher. I need the teacher to guide me, but when it goes to revision and some of the work, because there are certain things like from my own experience, maybe we'll come to that. But from my own experience, definitely, I went up to Form 5. I didn't actually know very much. Anyway, but let me give to others.
Mrs. Snow, as a veteran teacher, do you think group study, as opposed to instructional or teacher-student relation, is better?
Group studies is not a bad idea, but I also think that there should be good relationship between the teachers and the students for guidance, especially these days, the way children behave in our schools. Now, I would like at this point to talk about to encourage counseling and guiding through discussion with families, so that to encourage the habit of reading. Even reading is very important during study time. Reading, as you know, is the foundation to learning, and it is the ingredients to all subjects. Therefore, failure to read will have a serious setback to all subjects. So therefore, I am appealing to parents that the children should develop the habit of reading at their study time or at home. They can encourage them to read all the time so that they will be able to do their work.
Okay. Well, viewers, just to remind you, Reaching Education Forum, and our topics tonight is studies skills. Dr. Brahma, reflect on your past experience as a student from primary through secondary and university education. How were you conducting your study program after the normal instructional hours?
Thank you very much. I think that's a very interesting question. To be quite honest with you, at primary school, I did not know how to study. I didn't have an idea of how to study. And sometimes I was considered as a very dull boy. I mean, so I remember when I spoke English, well, when it is good, my colleagues, they were like, oh, today he has said a good English, you know. So when it is bad, it's worse.
Okay.
But, you know, through secondary, I was able to overcome that because I said, well, yes, they can laugh, but I will still learn. So the first important thing that I was able to know, that I was able to learn, which actually was very good, skill for me, was how to use a dictionary. Because I was engaged in reading, and there are words that I did not know. So once I knew how to use a dictionary, that was a very powerful skill that I had. So in my secondary period, secondary school time, I developed this habit of reading. And reading, use of dictionary. That's one thing. The third one, as Omar said, and as I said earlier, we had a group. We were always almost together. So after school, we organize ourselves. We'll go to LK, or sometimes we'll go to Nusrat. Okay, Nusrat was the school that I attended. So sometimes we go to Nusrat, sometimes we go to LK, or sometimes we go to a friend's house. All right, we will assign topics to one another, so that you read this, he read this, or she reads this. Okay, but we are all obliged to have an idea of the topic. Okay. But you have to read your own topic at a level of depth. Okay. All right, which I shouldn't have to. So that when we meet, we come to discuss. You present your topic, your area. Okay. I present mine. She present hers. We would have all got an idea. Okay. All right. So that was also very powerful because we are able to cover quite a lot. So because I remember there was a time we knew, especially in physics, for example, we knew that the point where we were, we would have not been able to finish the YX syllabus, all right, with the pace the class was going, and we went advance of the class. So anything that we were doing at that time, we had already done it in our study period. Okay. Okay. So primary, I did not know how to study. But I passed the common entrance. I went to Nusrat. Then when I actually knew how to use a dictionary, I was engaged in study and in groups. And the most important thing is that I spent a lot of time because I felt that I was a slow learner. Okay. So I had to, definitely engage myself. But nowadays, you see, it's much easier now because with computers, any topic, you Google it, you will find something on the computer.
So now what you're saying is for students to improve, they need to read extensively. They have to develop a culture of reading as well.
Yeah, culture of reading is very important. Okay. Study doesn't limit to reading. Okay. It's part of reading. Okay. But it's important because you have to be able to read. So you have to be able to have those skills, like when you are reading, when you come across a word, what do you do to clear that word? And questioning is very important. Okay. Because children should definitely overcome the barrier of not being able to ask a question. And to me, if a learner goes to the extent of formulating a question about a subject, he has already, overcome 80% of that. Because like even for those of us who did extensive research, okay, all right, you have to read very widely in the area, okay, and to be able to formulate your research question. And those research questions is what actually you pursue to be able to address them. Okay. So questioning is very important and in learning. And I will encourage teachers to encourage children to actually ask questions, and the parents also. Once the children ask questions, if you don't know, just be honest. Well, I don't know, but we can all find out.
So just final question on that. So in what way do you think you learn better then?
That is exactly what I am saying. I learn better, all right, if I sit myself quiet moment, engage myself with my study material, okay, that's one thing, talking to colleagues. Okay. Because like, explanation, learning something and being able to explain it, it's a lot of efforts, okay, to be able to interpret